So, what is it, Mera, that you want?
Today, yesterday we went climbing up Seclusion Hill. Baba's Seclusion Hill is just behind Meherabad.
Yeah.
And I walked up the path with two friends of mine and told them the story that I remembered from Meherwan telling me about how they walked up the hill with Baba in 1955 and how Baba compared the climbing of Seclusion Hill to the spiritual journey that an aspirant takes on the path. But I missed out very relevant and important bits. So I said to him, I said, why not?
I'm sorry.
Why not tell the story in Mandali Hall? Because what usually happens is Gary records it here and then puts it on YouTube so everybody can see it almost instantly. Which is why that way most people will have the accurate version.
I don't know if you can call it accurate because
as accurate as it gets.
Yeah, as accurate as the memory is there. Because it's quite a few years ago. That was in 1955. So how many years is that?
56.
Pardon?
66.
66 years.
66 years ago. Yeah.
56 years.
That's right.
56.
That's good calculation. Instant. Anyway, just to give you an idea of the situation that prevailed at that time, Baba in 1954, Baba was in Satara and he came here to he had called a meeting in 1954 in Meherabad. He had given out that Baba wanted to give a very important message to the Baba lovers all over the world. So what he did was that he asked people to come from the West to come, and many did respond to his call, and about 20 or 22 Westerners came from all over the world to be with Baba. And Baba said that I want to give Savas to my Western lovers, and this is the last opportunity that they will get to do that. So quite a few of them came, and that Baba called them, and he gave them a wonderful savas for 3 weeks. I don't know if any of you have read the 3 Incredible Weeks. It's a little booklet that was published later. And Baba was giving them all that he had. He was really giving them a very close contact. Yeah. And he was sort of laying cables for them to be able to work later on in the West. And so they came, and on the day they came, Baba had also announced that he wanted to give a public darshan to the people in Ahmednagar. So it was all announced in the papers and leaflets, and quite a big sort of event that would take place, because Baba hadn't given public darshan in Ahmednagar for many, many years. So the Ahmednagar people, the public, were very, very eager to have his darshan. And when they heard that he was going to do this, they were very enthusiastic. And a place was selected which was called Wadia Park. It's still there, but the park has been now made into a huge stadium there, a sports stadium. Yeah, and a big complex was there. It had a huge compound. It was like a park, a public park in Ahmednagar. Beautiful in our time. So there was a bandstand there and some few buildings and nice open grounds, trees growing all over. So it was decided to hold Baba's public darshan there, so that it could accommodate quite a big capacity crowd. And all the preparations were done, and there was a sort of a pavilion there where they built a stage for Baba to sit upon and they gave the darshan. So pandals were erected for the crowds to sit. It was, I think, 12th of September. That was the day Baba decided to give darshan, just after the monsoon. It was felt that that would be the good time to do it in the open air. So they did that, and a huge crowd started to pour in from all over, even from distant villages. The villagers left all things there in their village and came to have Baba's darshan. So it is estimated that about between 60 to 80,000 people collected there to have Baba's darshan. And on the day previous to that, the Westerners had been called. So on the first day, they were asked to come and be a witness to this public darshan that Baba was giving. And the sight that they had simply overwhelmed them. Yeah. It was just a great outpouring of love from Baba to the masses. Yeah. And we have a nice film also that of the occasion. Yeah. I think it's called Meherabad's Call. No?
Yes.
Do you want to? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful film. So that was the time that the public darshan took place, and we all were there at that time. And then, of course, then the crowd dispersed. Baba was giving prasad. Some speeches were made in the beginning, and then Baba said, "Now let us start the real business." So there were huge baskets of small candies, and Baba would take handfuls and give prasad to people who were filing past Baba's chair. Baba's chair was pulled right to the edge of the dais, and people would bow down to him and take the prasad. And it was a mighty big crowd and a lot of jostling around. And the police were there to control, but there was a little stampede also at one time. I nearly got crushed underneath. Yeah, so it was quite a gathering. And what Baba was apparently just giving out these candies, little things, but what he was doing was that he was giving his love, planting the seed of love to so many of the multitude. Yeah. And this continued all day. Baba sat there from morning till evening without any food or anything. He was just constantly giving it out. First with his right hand, then with his left hand, then with both hands. As the queues were getting more and more impatient, the crowds were feeling that they might get deprived of it. And Baba would have to stand up several times to pacify the crowd. Be patient, be patient. So that's how it was, and it was really wonderful. And the Westerners who saw all this, they had an experience of their lifetime. Then they all, in the evening, of course, crowds had just kept pouring in. So there was no end to it. So Baba said, now I must go. So he touched the prasad with his hand, many basketfuls. And he said, I am leaving now and my people will give you this prasad, take it as if from me. And the thing continued late into the night. But Baba in the evening, now to take him back from the crowd, the car had to be brought right near the stage, and Baba climbed on top of the roof of the car to give his final wave of departure. And there was a lot of hue and cry and people wanting to get close to him, and eventually he left. Then, feeling that many were deprived, Baba gave another little small public darshan where the trust compound is now. To many people clamored for more, so they were left out. So Baba did that also. Thereafter, Baba had declared that at the end of the month, that he wanted to hold a meeting with close Baba lovers from all over India, and that he wanted to make a very important announcement. And this meeting was very important, Baba said. So many people had sent their replies that they wanted to attend, and it was to be held at Meherabad. So letters were pouring in, hundreds of people wanting to come, and big tents were set up at Lower Meherabad to accommodate people who would be coming. So there were tents for where the Baba would be meeting, tents for food, tents for sleeping arrangement. Baba wanted to hold it for 3 days. So it was all arranged. The weather was quite pleasant. It was the end of September, and nobody had any idea what was to happen, because just a couple of days before the crowds were to come, a day before, suddenly the last showers started to come. They are the heaviest showers that usually come in Ahmednagar towards the end of September. So nobody had any idea that it would be just at that time. So almost on the eve of arrival of people, it began to rain, and the tents that were made were just of cloth. People had no idea that there would be rains, and everything got drenched. The whole area had become a pool of water that evening. We were there in the tents, and our beds were drenched, everything got drenched. But the manager who was Pendu, Baba's close Mandali, he was frantic. He didn't know what to do now. And everywhere there's water, and it just kept raining and raining and raining, almost the whole night. And towards the early morning it cleared. When it cleared, it was completely clear. But in the meantime, everything was soaked. And it was a great mess. But somehow all survived. Baba sent word that everybody should be given aspirin so that nobody falls ill. Yeah, yeah, aspirin. Yeah. That time there were not many drugs around. So we still remember we all had to take the pills. It was Baba's order that everybody must take it. And so the night passed. The next day, Baba arrived early in the morning. By that time, the clear, bright sun had come out and it was beautiful, but all waterlogged. But the water also had gone down, but it was very slushy. So Baba kept going all around the place, inspecting all the tents, and it was so slushy that he even removed his sandals and was walking barefoot all over, just to see and pacify the people, and that to give them solace, They had a difficult nightmare, as it were, a waking nightmare. After that, the meeting began. Baba was in an extremely serious mood, and Baba said, "This is one of the last meetings I have called, and I have to make a very important announcement." And then it was all being translated into different languages for different language groups. And Baba was dictating on the board, and Dheeraj would be interpreting Baba there. So this went on, and the main thing about it was that Baba wanted people to realize the illusoriness of all this around. And it was a beautiful message that Baba gave. But towards the end of it, Baba said that now, very soon, hereafter, my work in the world will be coming to an end, and that I will be departing. So he said, I want to give you an idea of how my end will approach. And he said, I'll be leading usual life, and suddenly it might happen that my close ones will all go away from me. I'll be all alone, and I'll then get surrounded by enemies, and they will come and they'll stab me in the back, and that will be my end. And something quite somber it was. Yeah. And everybody was shocked to hear all this. And 3/4 of the world will be destroyed soon thereafter. And it will be my humiliation and then breaking of my silence and glorification and all that. Yeah. So it was such a shaky, it shook everybody so much that there was quite a lot of uproar when they heard all that. And one disciple came and started to weep there. You must have heard of Dr. Deshmukh. He says, Baba, we cannot accept this. No, how could it be? So he was pacified. Baba said, fine, now be quiet and listen to what has to happen is going to happen and must happen. And then after all that was over, and the Westerners were to attend this. So they attended this meeting, and soon after they left for the West. Yeah. So they had quite an experience. And thereafter Baba left for Satara again. And soon after leaving there, he even gave up his board, the board that he was using up to 1954. On the 7th, I think, 7th of October, Baba gave up even the use of the alphabet board. So the final limitation of communication was also snapped. Now Baba said, I won't be using the board anymore. So the Mandali were wondering, how on earth are we going to follow what Baba is going to say now from day to day? But later on Baba had done his own little sign language, and he then began to gesture. And if in the beginning there were not even any gestures, he would just ask people to speak out the alphabet, and he would say yes, that, and form words of what he wanted to say. But that became so impractical that eventually he started to communicate with just hand gestures. And he had his own little sign language. Like this was A, this was B, this was C.
What was the first one?
A.
A, okay.
Yeah. So that's how he first gave Airaj how to do it, and then he began to interpret Baba's hand gestures. And that's how he communicated with the world till he dropped his body. Yeah. So, and then thereafter Baba continued his work. He was very busy in his seclusion. Nobody was to go and see him. But later on, in the following year, 1955, towards the middle or something, Baba announced that he decided to give a savas to his Eastern disciples, just like he gave his savas to the Western. So that's why in 1955, Baba sent out circulars that I want to give my savas to my Eastern lovers, and who all want to attend should send their names. And there will be 4 language groups. So one would be English and Gujarati, another Hindi, Marathi, and another one was Telugu. Yeah. So these 4 language groups were there, and Baba had given dates from this week, this day to this day. It would be the English and Gujarati group. This day it will be the Marathi, this or the Hindi, this would be the Telugu. These were 4 major language groups. And at that time we were all called there and we had to be at Meherabad. And that's Baba was giving his close savas to all his Eastern Baba lovers. And so, mind you, the board, he wasn't using the board then. So Yerach used to interpret, and it would be translated into the language of that group. And for 4 days, I think Baba gave the savas there. And one day Baba reserved for people to come from there to Meherabad. Baba wanted all of us to see Meherabad. And so for the first time many Baba lovers got to see Meherabad. And when we arrived here in buses, Baba showed us around the place. He took us inside to where he was staying and all that. And then Baba said, now we will walk up the Seclusion Hill. And that's where our story begins. So this is a long introduction.
No, but very eloquent and very excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So you know how eager the crowd was to have Baba's contact after that grim meeting. It was just to give you an idea. So people were just flocking around him all the while, those who had gathered. And Baba was giving off everything really, and it was a real feast of love that he was giving us. He was distributing even prasad to us when we would sit for lunch and visit the tents and all that. Very close contact. Thereafter he said, first day he led us up Meherabad Hill to his samadhi, and he told us all how fortunate you are that I am leading you in a procession to my place of ultimate rest. In times to come, millions will come and follow the same route, and this will become a place of world pilgrimage. And so it is coming to be true now. And he led us up to the samadhi and stood there out and told us to bow down at the threshold there. Yeah. So we all were really fortunate that he did that to us, gave us the opportunity. Thereafter, Baba said that on the 5th day you all have to come to Meherabad, and then he brought us here and he showed us around all these places, and then he started to go up the hill, the Seclusion Hill as it was called. Baba had worked there in the late 40s before going into New Life also, and after almost ending the New Life he finished his work there. So that hill is quite associated with his internal work that he did up on the hill, and that's why people now still want to go up. And so he started to lead us up the hill, and Baba said, I'll be leading you up, so all of you keep close to me, don't lag behind, and don't wander here and there. So keep close and follow me. So we were all following him. Baba was quite agile then. It was before the second accident, as you know. And Baba began to climb the hill very fast. He was very nimble. His gait also was very, very fast. Before the accident, of course, people had to run after him when he walked. And yet his walk was never clumsy. It was as if he was floating up on the air. All his movements were very graceful. So he began to go. There were some old people, so we were trying to get everybody close, and some youngsters, they became enthusiastic and they started to climb the hill directly from the base, up straight. Baba was climbing along the path, and he suddenly turned round and he clapped. Says, "Hey you, come down." So they stopped in their tracks, they were racing up. They all came down, he beckoned them to come close, and then he sort of reprimanded them. He said, "What was my order? Follow me. I didn't ask you to lead me. And besides, if you want to go up and show your prowess, I could outrace any of you. If you want to do that, let's do that." And they felt very cowed about it. Baba says, "Don't take any shortcuts, follow me." So this was a sort of a sermon that Baba gave there, that when the Master is leading you along the spiritual journey, that you have to follow him and not wander off here and there in search of shortcuts in the spiritual path. Baba told those youngsters, had you gone up like that, you would have gone up to a place where it's very precipitous. Then you won't be able to come down nor go up, and you'll be stuck there. You don't realize what you have been doing. So don't do that. So that was a hint that this is what happens in the spiritual path. People go after minor saints and people who show these illusory experiences. So Baba has warned us that avoid all that. That's never going to take you to the goal. Get hold of a perfect master and cling to him. That's the only recourse. There's no other way. No shortcuts in spirituality. So, and then Baba says, we have not come for a picnic here. I have some important thing to tell you. See, what this path that we are climbing up resembles the spiritual path. So, and I am leading you up, follow me. So Baba goes up and we all followed them in silence. And Baba climbed up rapidly. And if you all have been up the hill, it's the first climb to a certain point where it then turns. So Baba goes up to that point, stands there, and once beckons us all to come close, and he says, this is the first section of the spiritual journey. This path is like that. It's here that the Master first, it is likened to a master who has a new lover who is following him. So he gives all encouragement to the lover to come close to him whenever he would be in the Master's presence. The Master always gives a lot of attention to this new lover, and he feels very elated and he feels as if he is in heaven, as it were. So Baba says this is comparable to the honeymoon stage of a lover and a beloved. So the beloved showers all his attention and love to this new lover, and he gives him all sorts of preferences and pampers to his everything, and encourages him to come closer and closer. And Baba says that the link between the beloved and the lover is a very fine thread, finer than a horse's hair. And the one end he ties around the lover, and one end he holds in his hand, and he starts to tug the lover towards him. And this is what happens. The lover is climbing this path as we have been doing, and he feels he's going up and up and up, and he's left the world behind. He feels on top of the world, as it were, and Baba is the beloved is taking him to heights that had never been traversed by him. And this is going on until this stage arrives here. And Baba says, here the beloved gives the lover the first little tug. So what happens is that Baba says the beloved then starts to ignore the lover to begin with. So suddenly the attention that he was giving to this lover stops, and he starts paying less and less attention to this person, and neglecting him more and more, and more and more, and then still yet more, so that the new lover feels that he feels as if he is not at all being noticed by the Lord. However much he tries to do that, the beloved just doesn't want to have a look at him. Eventually, the beloved goes so far, Baba says, that he shows positive dislike when this lover comes in front of him, and that lover is made to feel like that, and he simply doesn't know what has happened. What has happened that the beloved is doing this to me? But there is no response, and he is just unwanted there. And then a stage of great disappointment comes to this lover, and he feels that what's the use of my being here if I am here and it just displeases my beloved? I might as well just go away, go back. So it's best that I leave. And of his own, he starts to go back into the world which he had left. And Baba says that's when Master starts to release the thread that he had wound on his spool, as it were, which he was holding. Because Baba says that link must not snap, so he lets go the thread. And just like you fly a kite, I don't know if any of you know how kites are flown. So he lets go the string, and the lover begins to go. But where Baba says this is the path now that we are going to take, it's a U-turn. So he's going back into the world, apparently, but at the same time he's climbing the hill. So he is going up, but he feels that he is going away from the beloved. but the beloved has full control over him, which is unknown to him. And he starts to go back into the world. When he goes back, he finds no interest in the world. Everything that used to interest him and everything that used to make him feel happy in the world no longer interested him. He feels totally out of place. Even his close ones, he doesn't feel like being with them. He just keeps wandering here and there, totally desperate. And a stage comes, Baba says, when he becomes so desperate, he can't go back. He knows that the beloved is going to ignore him. What's the sense? He can't stay in the world. He's totally disinterested. So the only recourse for him is to just end his life. And he decides to sort of jump down and finish it. So Baba says, now let's go up this path of trials and tribulations of the lover. And he climbs up again. And there is a point where the path again takes another U-turn. The Baba goes up there and says, this is the point where the ultimate desperation comes, that the lover wants to just end his life. And that's when the first little tug is given by the master. So a thought comes into the mind of the lover that if I have to end my life, I might as well go back and go and be with my beloved and die there rather than here instead of ending my life. So he comes back and the master starts to pull the thread quickly and the lover is coming, and Baba says from there when he comes back to the beloved's attitude completely changes and he is received with great welcome and where had you been and you didn't inform me, and he was given a great reception. And Baba says the beloved encourages the lover to follow, and he then more enthusiastically than ever before follows the beloved. Baba says that's how we now go to the top, and there the master leads the beloved leads the lover to the top, and there union takes place. So that's the end of the journey. So Baba climbed up the hill, he went there, and he says, here, this is the place where the beloved and the lover become one. The lover becomes the beloved, and the beloved becomes the lover. That's the end of the love game. So that's the journey that Baba said, this is why I brought you up here. You all are very fortunate that I have personally led you up this hill. In times to come, many millions would want to come here and be here because, and I will tell you why. And then he led us up. This was the first platform there, up on the hill. From there, he had sat and given us all this little talk, and then he led us right to the summit. There Baba says, here I have led you up and people will want to come and be here. And why would they want to come here? What is there so special about this hill? When you come up here, you find, what do you find? Nothing but rocks and stones. What's so alluring about this hill? There are many more beautiful hills and mountains in the world. So why would people want to come all the way and be up here? The Baba then says, it's because I have done great work here. Very, very great seclusion work. which will have effect on the whole of creation. So that's the reason why they will come. That's the reason which will attract them, not nothing else. So all of you now who have come, you all pick up a pebble and take it back with you as a memento of your visit, of your journey up the hill with me. So we all picked up a pebble and kept it. And I, like a fool, misplaced it. So that's the story of going up the hill with the Lord.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Then, of course, he brought us down, and we all followed him down here. And then he bade us go back, have our lunch, get ready. And then Baba said I would come there and give you my final savas there. And he came up there, and there was a nice Qawwali program at Meherabad, and it was quite a sad parting for all the people who had gathered. So he was there, and this Qawwali program was there. Baba liked Qawwali music. Yeah, it's between the. These are songs where the lover sings the praise of the beloved, sings about all the sorrows that he's going through. So such songs Baba liked, and that's what that Qawwal was singing. And everybody was very moved. So many started to sob. They didn't want to leave Baba. But that's how then we parted. And now that's how we have to part here, because it's time to leave.
Thank you.
Do you have any veterans from the
Hmm?
hill with you now?
Pardon?
Are there any veterans from the hill with you now over here?
Who went up?
No, no. Are there any pebbles of the hill over here present here that we
Pebbles?
can take here? Anything that we can take by?
Take a small thing
Yeah, but from where?
from
This-
this
Yeah,
You have to
but,
climb the hill.
yeah, but now
Next
this.
time.
next time.
There's always another time.
Jai Baba.
Zaka.
Jai Baba.